Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So this video is going to be a little bit different than the other ones. It's going to be a book review slash my thoughts. And it's going to be on Death Comes to Pemberley by P.D. James. So let's get started. Okay, so how I found out about this book. Well, first off, I am a huge Doctor Who fan, so therefore my favorite companion is Clara Oswald. So I love the actress who plays her, Jenna Coleman. So when I heard that she was going to be making a new TV miniseries, I immediately was on board. I looked up what it was going to be about, and I saw that it was based on a book. So I immediately ran to my bookstore and got a copy and started reading it as soon as I could. Now the thing is with me, when it comes to sequels, if they are written by the same author, then I'll give them a shot. But when I heard about this book, I was a little bit hesitant because, one, it is a new author, and I wasn't sure how it was going to be like. Is it going to be the same exact thing as Pride and Prejudice, or is it going to be something a little bit more different? How is she going to put all these memorable characters into a murder mystery type of book? Now, if you guys aren't familiar with what this book is about, it is a sequel to Pride and Prejudice. So it does follow along to Elizabeth and Darcy's marriage about 6 years after they had gotten married. So they are living happily and peacefully in Pemberley, the place that they call home. If you are familiar with any of Jane Austen's work, then you know how difficult it is. A little bit difficult to read. Back then, that was more of the modern type writing to them, whereas to us it's more of a Divergent or Hunger Games or even Harry Potter. So when I picked up the book, I quickly kind of flipped through it to see how she may have written some of the things. I read the first page right there in the bookstore, and I thought, okay, I think I can read this within maybe a week, hopefully, and it's not tough at all. So if you guys are having, maybe you guys are interested in reading the book, and hopefully I can help you guys kind of choose if you do want to read it. But when it comes down to it, it isn't Jane Austen, it's P.D. James. So it's not the exact thing as the original author. So as I had mentioned before, it is about Elizabeth and Darcy's marriage right after they got married. So it is now placed about 6-7 years afterwards that. And they are living happily and peacefully in their home called Pemberley. Now, every year there is an annual ball called Anne's Ball, which is in dedication to Darcy's mother's birthday. That's a bit of a mouthful. And every year they do this just to celebrate her birthday, her life, and every year everybody and their mothers, uncles, brothers, sisters, cousins, everybody goes to Pemberley to sort of join in the celebration. And the way that it's kind of described in the book, it's sort of something that every person wants to go to. Everybody wants to be invited. Everybody wants to see what their home looks like, what anybody and everybody is wearing, what they're doing, what they're drinking, what they're eating, what everything. So this ball kind of gives them a sort of leeway as to kind of push their way into Elizabeth and Darcy's life, because it is well known about Elizabeth and Darcy. Nobody expected those two to get together, much less get married. So the plot goes like this. It is the day before Anne's ball. Everybody is getting everything ready, the last minute preparations, when all of a sudden Elizabeth and Darcy are greeted by a frantic and chaotic Lydia, who is Elizabeth's younger sister, who is also sort of banned from Pemberley, along with Lydia's husband, Wickham. Now, Wickham and Darcy did grow up together in childhood, but Wickham didn't really make a big nuisance out of it. Elizabeth's sister, though, Lydia, did. She started kind of putting out these rumors, these little fibs about Elizabeth and Darcy. Elizabeth didn't want to seem like she was pushing her away. She just kind of knew that she needed to do this in order to get her life straight. She didn't want to have any negatives in her life, and unfortunately Lydia was one of them. So when Lydia arrives to Pemberley, she immediately runs out of her coach, carriage, whatever you want to call it, and she totally pushes Elizabeth aside, runs to her other sister, Jane, who is also there, and she starts screaming that her husband, Wickham, has been murdered by a friend of theirs, Denny, in the woods. So this leads off to a conquest for Darcy and two of his friends, the Colonel and Alvison. And they go off into the woods to see where Wickham's body might possibly be, and in turn also having to worry about a potential murderer. What they do find shocks them. So that is a background as to what this book is about. One thing that I did like about this book is that I do like Jane Austen. One of the things that I did notice between Pride and Prejudice and this Death Comes to Pemberley is that both of the books are more focused on one character and one character only. In Pride and Prejudice, it was all about Elizabeth, and, you know, we got to see what she was thinking, what she was feeling, how she saw Darcy, and, you know, we didn't really get to see how Darcy was more towards her. We didn't really get to see into his brain or thoughts or anything, what he thought about her when he first met her, or, you know, thinking if he was going to marry her at all. But in Death Comes to Pemberley, this book takes more of a different turn. It does have more Darcy in it. It's probably 95% more Darcy in this book, whereas in Pride and Prejudice, it was all, you know, 95% Elizabeth. It gave us a chance to know a little bit about how Darcy might handle things, what he's thinking about when the murder trial is happening, what he's thinking about Wickham, what he loves about Elizabeth, why he married Elizabeth, and how he's just kind of handling the whole situation. I will admit that during the middle, I think this is the only thing that I didn't really like about the book, that during the middle, it kind of got a little bit slow. I think when it comes to sequels, everybody is really hard to please. I think that everybody has their own different opinions on them. A person can love a sequel, whereas another person could totally want to just make it burn. Just burn it. But for me personally, I did like it. I think she was able to kind of bring the characters' feelings out from a book. You were kind of able to see how everybody was dealing with the fact of this murder, how everybody was having to situate themselves and why it was happening, why the murder happened, what was behind the intent of the murder. Now, one thing that I also did like about this book is that you don't have to read Pride and Prejudice in order to understand this book. The author pretty much put in a couple of pages as to what did happen in Pride and Prejudice, just to give you guys a little bit of a background to how Elizabeth and Darcy met, how everybody saw them, and just, you know, those little tidbits that you just really needed to know. But in all honesty, you don't have to read the first one. So all in all, I really did like the book. I think it's just one of those really great kind of coffee books. It gives off a different sort of genre to Jane Austen's classical pieces. You know, Jane Austen writes more of a romantic type of piece. So this book is definitely different. I think you guys should give this book a try. You never know. You could end up loving it, or you can end up hating it. I don't know. But like I said before, I think it's just something a little bit different as to what we're used to reading in Jane Austen's, if you are lucky enough to read it in less than a month, unlike me. So that is going to be it for this video. I hope you liked it. If you did, please like it and subscribe. And maybe I'm thinking of doing some more of these types of videos. I love reading books. And if you guys have any suggestions, maybe what to read next, I am open to them. I love discovering new books, however old or new they are. I hope you guys are having a happy, lovely, wonderful, magical day, evening, or night. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.